How can you use your business to make a bigger impact? Today, Cheyenne Williams joins us again to share how community involvement has transformed her life and her business. From leading suicide prevention walks to supporting foster care initiatives, she explains how giving back is not just about writing checks, it's about connections, it's about her purpose, and it's about fulfilling a passion. Welcome to Pet Sitter Confessional, an open and honest discussion about life as a pet sitter. Today, we're brought to you by our friends at Time to Pet and Pet Perennials. Let's get started.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Cheyenne Williams, and I own Shiny Day Specialized Pet Care in Sarasota, Florida. I started as a veterinary technician, and my business just kind of accidentally happened. And then I went full-time in 2019 after doing it on the side for 4 years. We focus on animals who have medical conditions, chronic medical conditions, or older pets with a lot of times older parents who can't necessarily manage their pet's care. So that's a little bit about our business. I'm personally involved in a lot of nonprofits and volunteer positions. I work heavily with a rescue here called Satchel's Last Resort, who is amazing. I have been the PTO president of my daughter's school since 2017. I am now the board chair for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, our Southwest Florida chapter. And recently, I just joined a nonprofit called Guard Against Trafficking, which focuses heavily on anti-human trafficking efforts.
Now, you're involved in a lot of things, and why is that? Why is that important to you, Cheyenne?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I'll start with the easiest one first: animal rescues. Obviously, with my degree being in veterinary nursing and the pet care business, it's just a natural passion of mine to be involved in rescues. And Satchel's Last Resort is really the last resort. They take a lot of animals that become residents there. So they're not necessarily, they say every animal is adoptable, but they're not necessarily the pets that people are looking to adopt. So they get a lot of pets with behavioral issues and medical conditions, and that's just where my heart is. The PTO, I'm involved because I love being a part of my children's life. I didn't have parents who were actively involved in what I was doing growing up, which we can definitely talk a little more about. So I want to be involved in everything that my kids are doing and really nurture how they grow up. And then with the Guard Against Trafficking, of course, because I have children, kids are a very soft spot in my heart. And one of my best friends who created the organization, she needed a little extra help, and she knew that I was involved in all these nonprofits. So she asked, and I said yes. And then the last one, which is the one I'm really the most heavily involved in, is the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And I lost my mom to suicide in 2016. So I attended my first Out of the Darkness walk in 2019, actually a week before I took my business full time. And I filled out one of the little forms at the walk. I'm like, oh, they're never going to call me. And they called me the next year. And they were like, we would love to have you be on our walk committee. And of course, that was 2020. So everything looked a lot different. We had to do a virtual walk, and it was heavily reliant on online. We did virtual. So we filmed an opening ceremony. We had a fitness club. They recorded a warm up, sent it to us. We added it. It was really cool, but it was definitely a challenge with it being my first year with the organization, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, we've done this for many, many years, but none of that experience counts or helps right now. Go figure it out, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then the day that we were filming our opening ceremony, it was my husband and I and the walk chair who's also on the board with me now. And he showed up for filming with his wife, and he had been like watering his plants or something, and he touched a cactus that I guess has like some oil on it and rubbed his eye. So he's like filming and like crying, and it was the craziest thing. 2020 was just a wild time.
For a lot of reasons. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, that is a lot of involvement, and I know those are very, very close and personal to you. How do you,
Absolutely.
that's that focus though, because running a business is not an easy thing and can be an all-consuming task. So how do you split your time between those? And I don't want to say the word justify, because I don't think that's appropriate here of like, hey, I need to spend time on these things and not growing my business. But it is when you're focusing on one thing, it means you have to necessarily turn your attention and time away from something else. What's that like for
Absolutely.
you balancing that?
It is something that is really a struggle from a personal perspective, because it's like I have business things I need to do, but there might be something that's time sensitive with, AFSP or with the PTO. Like last week, we had 3 PTO meetings that were all about 2 hours long. And what we did was we planned our entire year in those 3 meetings. So in the long run, I'm going to be spending less time planning and coordinating these events because we have them all pre-planned. But I think what's been the easiest for me is I ask ahead of time, like what the time commitment's going to be before I can say yes to anything. If it's something where somebody needs 30 hours of my time a week, it's very difficult to do that. Or I go to an organization and I pitch to them, this is what I'm able to get you. And I think it's important too for people to understand that community involvement doesn't necessarily mean your time. It could be, bringing a bag of dog food to a shelter, or it could be, an in-kind donation of a gift basket to a school. There's a lot of different ways that we can get involved in the community. And I really believe, like, what is the point of having a business without giving back? You're doing it for your community. And, the purpose of your business is not just taking from it. We have to really nurture our community, because it's where we live. It's, the people around us, the animals around us. And I just feel like not only does it help your business grow, but it also helps you grow as a person.
Well, it definitely takes you outside of your comfort zone. And that's it's a different mindset too, especially when you think of, I think that's just different stages of business, but you can build these things into from the very beginning of, hey, here's something I'm really passionate about. And to go, how can I help? But then also going, hey, how can my business help? And I think that's just a very natural progression of, well, look at this thing over here that I have and that I also run. How can I be involved? So, is your business involved in these things as well? Or is it just, are you showing up as a representative for you personally?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the one that my business is not necessarily involved in, is the guard against trafficking as of yet, just because it's super new.
Sure.
However, all of the other ones, my clients know that those go hand in hand with my business. Yeah, I might be sending you the Shiny Day newsletter, but I might also be sending you, what's new going on with suicide prevention in the community, what initiatives we're working on. So I do keep my clients informed about all of the things I'm involved in. And the amount of support and the amount of really like unique client connections I have from these things has been incredible. For the last 3 years, I've been the top fundraising team for AFSP because I send out those emails to my client and I'm like, they all know my story. So I'll send them out an email. Hey, here's our walk. I've had clients come to the walks. I have had them, send me articles that they've found. So it's really, it's been amazing because not only am I bringing awareness to like the organizations I work with, but my clients are wanting to be involved. We did a donation drive for Foster the Family, which is one I didn't talk about. That's another new one that we've really been fostering, literally. Our daughters are involved in 4-H, and their 4-H leader, she works for Foster the Family, and she asked if we would do a donation drive for them. So we did, and I sent out an email, and I can send you guys the picture of that. We got so many donations for Foster the Family: water bottles, baby bottles, pajamas, undergarments. I mean, just a giant box full of items that they needed. So clients want to be involved. They want to know what you're doing. And, I've had clients reach out to me about personal losses that they've had, whether it be to suicide or a dog with a behavioral issue in the past. So it's really fostered amazing connections with my clients beyond the pet care.
Have you heard of Time to Pet? Susan the Pet Gal has this to say.
Time to Pet has helped us grow exponentially. We believe the platform's features make us by far more professional than other companies who use conventional dashboards. They are the software gurus constantly developing and improving the platform based on user feedback. This decision was a good one.
If you're looking for new pet sitting software, give Time to Pet a try. Listeners of our show will save 50% off your first 3 months by visiting timetopet.com/confessional. Well, and as you mentioned, it's a really good reminder that when we talk about being involved in organizations or things like that, it's not just, oh gosh, okay, let me write a check so I can sponsor something. Sure, yeah. Money does help, right? They do need financial resources, but a lot of times what they're really just needing is attention, right, to an issue, to a topic. And I love how you're using your newsletter to help share about these things that are going on, educating your clients about this instead. And right, because I know we send out a weekly newsletter, and sometimes it's like, well, how many times can I say, please scrub your bowls, right? Like this is, how can I'm not just looking for more content, but I'm looking for a better connection with my clients on something. I'm looking to have more of an impact and to go, what am I passionate about? How do I make this connection? But that is hard too, because when you partner with an organization, it is a stamp of like where our beliefs are. Was that ever a struggle for you of like really putting yourself out there in these different initiatives?
So I will say that all of the initiatives that I am involved in, they are bipartisan. Okay. So especially when one of the big things that I do with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention is I meet with legislators twice a year. Once in Tallahassee, that's typically in February. It's really either February or October. It's whenever we can get sponsored to go up there. And I go to Capitol Hill and I meet with our federal senators and our House of Representatives about bills and stuff that we support or that we're looking to get co-sponsored. And I've it hasn't been on purpose, but it seems to be that the initiatives that I work with are bipartisan across the board. Yeah. So, I mean, everybody wants to do something to prevent suicide. 1 in 4 people are affected by it. So, it's not something that only affects one side or the other. Foster care is a huge thing that affects everybody. I know several people who have grown up in foster care. And with the PTO, who doesn't love like school dances and kid stuff, bounce houses and all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then with Guard Against Trafficking, that's another one that's very nonpartisan. However, that one has kind of towed that line with the political the political landscape of everything, where it is a topic that is highly bipartisan, that sometimes, can be seen certain ways, depending on what subject you're talking about with it. But it is something that affects a lot of people that's not talked about.
Yeah. Well, and it's just a good reminder to go like, look, I'm passionate about what I'm passionate about, and I'm going to get connected with what I want to get connected with to make the influence that I want to make an influence with. And that will necessarily sometimes turn certain people off and attract other people. That's just part of it, being opinionated and knowing that going into it, when we choose to step out and have that kind of connection in our broader community outside of running our business. Like, that is an implication of what we're doing. What other challenges would you talk about for people to expect when committing to a cause or partnership, especially in the long term, when you're looking, not just for a one-off event, but looking to enter into these, no, this is always going to be here, and this is part of what I and my business do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the hardest part about it, at least on the outside of it, is that I just signed up to be on a walk committee, and that went really, really good. And then I was asked, hey, do you want to be trained in our programs? And I was like, yeah, let's do that. So then I got trained in the programs and started presenting programs to, teachers, churches, schools, or like students, I mean.
Yeah.
And then after I was trained in the programs, it was, we would really like to have you join our board. So the more you do get involved in, these organizations and initiatives and stuff, there might always be another ask. And I think that would be the most important thing for people to be prepared for when they're, looking for these volunteer opportunities and giving back to the community, is that, if you're really passionate about something, there's always work to do, and you may be asked to do more than what you signed up for. And you need to be prepared to either take on that role, or to say no. And if you say no, it's not necessarily the end of your journey with that organization or that nonprofit. It's just making sure that you're setting up your own boundaries before you get into it. That would be probably the biggest challenge I can think of. And I struggled with that for a very long time. I was a big yes man for a lot of things. But the beauty of it too, though, is that I was a solo sitter when I started getting involved in these organizations, and attending leadership conferences and doing all of that has actually helped me become a better business owner. I now have 3 employees, and it's easier for me to take lessons that I've learned from these organizations on leadership and being on a board and stuff, and bring them into the sphere of the business.
Do you talk about the business involvement with these outside organizations to your employees or during that hiring process, as far as like what the business initiatives are?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And, I let them know that, like, I'm involved in all of these things. The business is involved in most of them, as far as, with the PTO and stuff. We sponsor, we give baskets. That's not really anything that like affects my employees. But one of my employees actually lost their father to suicide many, many years ago. So she wanted to be involved in that as well. So it is kind of creating that business culture. And I do let people know ahead of time, because it will affect my schedule sometimes, like when I'm going to Tallahassee or when I'm going to Washington, D.C., or the leadership conference every January, I'm out of town. So they have an idea that, the business is really heavily involved in this stuff, but I also give them a choice. Like, if you want to, come to the walk and man a table, you're more than welcome to. But like, I don't expect my employees to take on volunteer roles.
Right. Yeah, and it gives when you talk about that company culture, like what to what end are we here for? And to go, yeah, sure, peace of mind, high quality pet care, also giving back to our community. And again, this wonderful mission that people can get attracted to from such a personal level, like that we're bringing of like, no, this is important to me. And like you said, I'm not saying, okay, it must be the number one priority for you as well. Live, sleep, eat, breathe this thing.
Yeah.
Right? But here are ways to get involved. And what a beautiful way to, again, bring more people and more attention to some things that are really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've listened to my employees too. Like, if there's something that they're passionate about and they bring it to me, I'll be like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Like, let's sponsor this event, or let's, go see how we can help with things. So I'm always looking for ways to get involved in the community as well. So, and it's not necessary, it's not something that it's, this is what I want to support. It's like, if there's something where there's a need for support somewhere, if I can throw up a Facebook post or share something, send an email to my clients, I would be happy to do it.
Mm. Well, how do you've talked a little bit about this, but this balance again of giving back, but also making sure you're paying attention to your own health, especially mental health, because the topics that you're involved in, you're giving back to, they're not exactly the most lighthearted ones, and most easiest ones. So what's that like? And I know many initiatives are like that when we talk about nonprofits, about giving back. They are very emotionally taxing. It's also something we're extremely passionate about. How do you balance and make sure that you're taking care of yourself as well as so that you can give 100% to each of these things?
Yeah, absolutely. So that has been a learning curve for sure, because I was a yes man for a really, really long time. And I feel like I kind of habit stacked my nonprofit. So it wasn't like I took all of them on at one time. It was, the PTO since 2017, then AFSP since 2020, and then Foster the Family since 2024. And now this year, Guard Against Trafficking. So I feel like once I got into more of a routine with one, I was comfortable adding on another, because I already knew my limits with things. But there was a point in 2021 where I was having some health scares, which was causing panic attacks. And I had to completely step back from everything. And I think at that point in time, because I had been involved with the suicide prevention initiatives, and I knew about mental health, and I knew warning signs or coping mechanisms. Like, I was equipped with all the tools I needed to really deal with my panic attacks and get them under control. And they lasted for about 6 months, and I was doing all of the things that I had been taught to do in crisis. And I was able to pull out of it. So again, it was just something that helped me in the long run. But definitely taking care of yourself first. It's cliche, but you can't pour from an empty cup. Yeah. So, really setting boundaries with yourself and saying, okay, I can only commit X amount of time, or I can only commit to doing this one event. And just really being honest with yourself. You can't be everything for everyone. There's like even doing one small thing for one organization is a lot. It's a big deal to them. And you don't have to take on everything is, I guess, what I'm trying to say.
Well, and you had mentioned earlier too of even coming to them and saying like, hey, well, this is what I can do. And that's a skill that I am really bad at, because I assume that if somebody asks me to do something, I either need to take on everything or nothing and leave, right? Instead of coming back and going, hey, I can't coach Little League 3 times a week for the next 3 months, but I can do every Monday. That's what I can commit to. Does that work? And then you're able to, you're being honest at that point, what's manageable. And then also remembering that, like, if it's no longer manageable for me, we're all adults. I can say I can't do this anymore, and it's going to be okay. And that's just from a personality perspective. I know that's really hard for me, because I'm like, no, I committed. I have to, it's 110% or bust. But backing off and going, no, like if I'm not okay, I can't show up on even just Mondays if I'm really struggling and things are falling apart elsewhere. I have to make sure that I'm dedicating my time and attention to what's really important and the necessary things in my life, my family, right? Making sure my business is running, and then go back out from there as I can, and I'm able.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it is really important for you to be able to identify those. And I know it can, especially for us, because we're caretakers naturally. That's why we're in this business. We want to make sure everything is taken care of. And identifying that is really the first step to being able to set a boundary with yourself. And I keep saying set a boundary with yourself, because if you don't have the boundaries with yourself, you're not going to have boundaries with these organizations or with other people. So just being really, really honest with yourself about what you can do, what you would like to do. And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be like all or nothing. Like with Guard Against Trafficking, we're only doing social media for them right now, because that's something that we're good at, that we can do. They are going to different countries like Brazil and all of these things, doing research and awareness, but I don't have to do that. They can send me the pictures and I can just upload them to the social media page. Right. So it's really all about like knowing your limits with things, because our job in general is very physically demanding and very time consuming. So, being able to look at your schedule and say, well, what can I do with the time that I have available for myself, but also for this organization? So the biggest thing is setting the boundaries and having like a clear goal of what you are able to offer the community.
As pet sitters and dog walkers, we're there for the joyful moments and the heartbreaking ones too. When a client loses a pet, finding the right gift can be hard. That's where Pet Perennials comes in. They make it easy to send thoughtful, sympathy, and milestone gifts with a handwritten card, colorful gift wrap, and shipping included in the US and Canada. You choose the gift, they handle the rest. Sign up for a free Gift Perks business account and get discounted pricing with no fees or minimums. Learn more at petperennials.com. Well, I think that goes right into another question I had. If somebody's listening to this, they want to get involved, but they don't know where to start. And what would you suggest for them?
I would say really look at your life experience and what is something that you needed growing up that wasn't available to you, and start there. So, like I said, I lost my mom in 2016 to suicide. I was an adult at that time. However, I did not know that my mom struggled with mental health while I was growing up. And I identified, well, if we had had those resources, would something have been different? So that is kind of how I went with that. And then, of course, looking at my life experience where, my mom was very physically and mentally ill. I didn't have a lot of parent involvement because my father was really focused on taking care of her. So I wanted to be involved in like my kids' childhood. I wanted to see what was going on at the school. I wanted to make those events happen because those were events that I didn't necessarily get to attend. So that's why I got involved with the PTO. And it's really identifying your why. With everything, with your business, why am I doing the business? With your volunteer opportunities, why do I want to be involved with this organization? I have found that when you are passionate about something, that's really the journey you're supposed to go down. And it's going to be different for everybody.
Yeah, and this conversation is like, again, like, what am I passionate about? The question is not what's going to get me the most exposure to the most people with pets. I think it's really important because I think too often we view involvement again as I'm going to write a check and I'm going to sponsor that event. And that Meg and I have certainly sat down. We've been approached to sponsor certain events, and we have to make that determination of like, okay, is this in alignment with who we are, what our business is, and kind of at the tail end as are pet people going to be there? And most of the time it doesn't matter. If I'm passionate about it, it's something important that we're going to do. And to trust and understand that like the more I'm giving back and out to my community, the more I'm helping others, the more that changes people's views of who we are, what we do, and they see us differently, right? They know, man, those are those people. You do become known. And man, if I'm known for the best dog walks or the most passionate sponsor, for whatever, I'm still known. And that's still a benefit to us on the back end.
Yeah. And I will say too, that there are certain things or like certain people that I have met with walking with these organizations that have no idea I run a pet care business. They really only know me for these volunteer things. And there have been a few times where like I'll be in conversation with somebody and they'll happen to overhear it and they'll be like, "Oh, you run a pet care business? Uncle Joe is looking for a dog walker." So it is something where, your name is out there, but I still have people that have no idea what about my business. And that's fine because when I'm working with these organizations, I'm not necessarily promoting my business.
Yeah.
But I'm promoting these organizations to the clients of my business. Right. So they know what I'm involved in, and other people that are in a different realm, they might not necessarily know anything about the business. And again, I'm not there to promote it. I'm there for that specific reason, unless it's like a sponsoring event or something like that. But I just think as business owners, we have a really amazing and unique opportunity to be able to give back, to be able to, go to these events, sponsor these events, or really bring our passion into our field. And, we're talking about pouring into our cup. Like, I've found that since I have kind of diversified all of the things I'm putting my time and attention to, my burnout rate, it has almost completely diminished because I'm not 24/7 pet care. It's like, okay, I did all of my visits for today. My dogs are happy and fed. I can now focus on planning, this walk or reaching out to other sponsors for something. It really, I don't know, it gives your brain something else to focus on other than, just the business.
Yeah. Well,
if that makes sense.
No, it does. Because again, excuse me. It does because too often we get wrapped in this this mindset of my business is my whole life, and therefore I am my business, and the circle gets drawn real tight around us. And it's just, we're bound there, and everything is the business. And that is certainly important through periods and times of our business where I need to focus 100% on this. But we are whole human beings. I'll say this: we were whole human beings before we started our business, and we will continue to be whole human beings after our business is long gone. And so,
Absolutely.
What else is there about me that needs to be fed, that I can and should be involved in to nurture me as a whole person, like you said, to fill my cup? And as we find these, it's more than just, and because many times we're like, hey, find a hobby, right? Like read a book, take a bubble bath. Okay, sure. But where can I pour more passion? What's going to feed me? Where am I going to see more results and things like that around me? Like, how can I make more of an impact? And when we step outside, it's also part of being selfless as we're helping others. Name me one thing that's more gratifying than being able to genuinely help somebody with nothing else. Like, right, nothing. And so
exactly.
Now we have all these little outlets that come back to us tenfold because of the feelings that we have around those.
Absolutely. And it is too, another really, really great benefit of it is just the word community, right? So especially as pet sitters and dog walkers, we're dealing with wonderful living creatures that can't necessarily have a conversation with us. I mean, they can for those who know how to hear it and how to listen to them. But a lot of times human interaction in this field is very, very limited, and it's very isolating. And that does really affect your mental health, whether we want to believe it or not. Yeah. So having these outlets of community with these different organizations or just people you meet doing these volunteer roles, really helps to fill your cup. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, as an elder millennial, I often think of many times of like, man, where am I able to make new friends? Like, let's just talk about that. Like, where am I able to make have connections with other humans? Well, running my business, it's like, okay, well, I've got my employees. Well, that's a different kind of relationship. And my clients, I can have that connection there. But where else in my world do I see other human beings? Well, if we're looking for connection, something bigger and better, greater than ourselves, let me get involved with community to help. And then I am in turn helped through that. And that is, I think that gets to a little bit about like why this is so powerful for everybody involved.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there is this wonderful gentleman that I met. He actually lives in Washington State. And I met him through the organization. He's at Leadership Conference every single year. And like him and I are just like so tight when we see each other. Like we always have conversations. We make it a point to like meet up and talk. I should be posting it soon. It's gotten away from me a little bit. But I interviewed him for our social media page for the suicide prevention. And he's just one of the greatest people I've ever met. So that'll be up on the social soon. But the connections you meet with people that you would otherwise never have are just amazing. Like I know people in Orlando. I know people from Phoenix, Arizona, Washington State. Like a lot of these organizations, especially ones that are national, just have a reach that's so great. And you get to meet people that you never would if you weren't involved.
Right. Yeah. And around with many things, with sometimes nothing in common except for the one thing that you're there for, but that's enough.
Yep.
And what a wonderful unifying thing to have, to show up and go, hey, we're all in this together to help and encourage other people, or work with pets and or whatever that is, right? To come with one focus around other people and go, regardless of anything else, I know we've got this in common and let's work together on this.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the same thing with the PTO. It's, those are people who are immediately in your community. Their kids go to school with your kids. And some of these parents, I wouldn't know who they are if we were in the grocery store, if I wasn't involved with the PTO.
Right.
And these, I mean, some of them live 3 streets over, and we had no idea, and our kids have gone to school together for years. So, it really, it opens up your world to different people with different experiences. I actually met at one of our walks in Charlotte County. I was chairing that, and I was there and talking to somebody, and she actually owns a pet treat business. She makes homemade pet treats. So like that was another connection that I got. We had something in common with having a loss. And we were both in the pet industry. So it really, you never know who you're going to meet with these things. And it really expands your world.
Wow. Well, okay. So somebody's listening to this. This can seem daunting, right? Because you're really heavily involved. You're really far into this process of working with, some ins and outs. You've been connected with these you've been connected with these organizations for quite a while now. What's something that somebody could do this week to start building that community and make these connections around them?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say really, I mean, like everything we do with business, with everyday life, figure out what your why is, and then just do a quick Google search. I mean, there's events for everything. We have walks for diabetes, we have walks for cancer, different types of social events like that. Look at what is available in your area and see if there is an organization that is already doing awareness or research, and just shoot them an email. Ask what volunteer opportunities they have or what needs they have. Another thing, like for us being involved with the church has a lot of different opportunities for volunteering, whether it be a food bank or, tutoring a student after school. There are so many different things, if we just think a little outside the box, that we could get involved in.
Right.
So I would say just figure out your why, throw it into Google,
right,
and see what you come up with.
Yes, and I guarantee you, if you make contact saying, "Hi, I'm interested in this and I want to help," no one's going to turn that away, right? You have an automatic
Absolutely.
in, right? That is one of the biggest needs of these of organizations, of nonprofits, is getting people to help and that are passionate about that, to see that through. And I guarantee you're going to get a yes. Can you start today? Right? It's going to go quick.
Absolutely. Get on that phone call real quick.
Yeah.
I will say though, it was really interesting, and it might have just been the timing of it because it was back in 2020 and things were very slow. I reached out to 22 or 23 different animal rescues in 2020, and I only heard back from one.
Yeah.
And that was Satchels. Satchels reached back out to me and they were like, "Oh my gosh, you would align perfectly with our mission. Yes, come in and we can figure out how we can partner." So there is, and there was one other organization that I had reached out to that never wrote me back, that wasn't involved in the pet industry. So there are going to be times where you don't hear back, and that's fine. Don't be discouraged about it. Just keep reaching out to other places, or, follow back up with them. I mean, a lot of times these organizations, because they are volunteer based, they might not have somebody that's checking the emails every day. If it's something where you don't hear back, you can give them a call and see if anybody saw the email, or, if they have a location, go into the location.
Right.
So.
Well, Cheyenne, I want to also, given that your relationship with the AFSP and that pet sitting and dog walking is an industry that really struggles with mental health, with that loneliness, with that lack of connection with other people, I did want to also just ask you, listeners who are here, what are some things that they should be aware of? What resources are around them for help if they need that? And how can they maybe help a friend who's in this situation that they're concerned or worried about?
Yeah. Okay. So, especially like you said, with us being isolated and not a lot of human interaction and stuff, if somebody is struggling with their mental health, there are a lot of great organizations. Of course, my organization only focuses on the suicide prevention part of it, which really encompasses mental health. But there is a nonprofit called NAMI, NAMI. They are national and they have a lot of good resources as far as helplines. If it's just talking to somebody, of course, if it is something where you're more into, a deeper depression and very on the edge, there is the 988 crisis line. That was actually a bill that I helped get passed back in 2020. And the crisis line is 988, and they will connect you with a trained counselor to get you through whatever crisis you're going through.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you very much, Cheyenne. And I'll have those links in the show notes. For those who want to get connected with you, pick your brain on more of this and how to walk that balance and, a little bit more of the intricate details here, how can they get connected and follow along with everything that you're involved in?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a contact form on my website that anybody can use, and it's shinydaypetsitting.com. On all the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, it's at Shiny Day Pet Care.
Awesome. Well, again, I will have those links as well, so people can get connected and follow along and see all the cool stuff that you're doing. Cheyenne, thank you so much for coming on today, encouraging us to flex that superpower that we have as a business to do more and help more, and then to make a big impact in our communities. I'm so appreciative of this, and it's a very good reminder to be looking for those things. So thank you, Cheyenne.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on.
I love when Cheyenne asks the question, what is the point of having a business without giving back? As pet care professionals, we're already deeply connected to our communities. But what if we went a step further? Giving back here doesn't always mean writing a huge check. It can look like sponsoring a school event, volunteering with a local rescue, or using your newsletter to highlight important causes. When we give back, we're not just running a business. We're becoming part of something bigger. And that ripple effect is real. Stronger client relationships, deeper personal fulfillment, and a lasting impact. As we approach this holiday and Christmas season, what's one way your business is giving back? We want to thank today's sponsors, Time to Pet and Pet Perennials, for making the show possible. And we really want to thank you so much for listening. We hope you have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll be back again soon.